So I do call it definite cowardice by these Freemasons that they won't say, well, how perfect for a final solutionist. Here's you don't need much of an inquiry into Hitler and what Hitler was about to work out that why religious idealists are so quick to point at him and use him as an example. He's using an example of stupidly that the proliferation of non-theism in culture or atheism in the 20th century inspired Hitler and Hitler's rise to power. Hitler had, even after he had been to Nietzsche's house, Nietzsche's famous for the statement "God is dead" in Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Hitler had "God mit uns," meaning God is with us, written all over his soldiers' belts. At no point had Hitler repudiated the belief in God, and he could not have been said. You could say he admired Nietzsche's writings on willpower, and I kind of even admire Hitler reading some of them off. The attrition and mishandling of Jewish people, I don't. His beliefs about the purity of German blood, I don't. But it's funny how churches that they themselves are involved in this big battle, where they're otherwise atheists themselves. If let's say, for sake of example, that there are only 1,000 gods ever thought to have existed in all of human history for each of you to choose from in all of your little churches. Now, monotheism means that, the contest is currently on as to which church is right, which religion has got it right. And if you're a monotheist who believes in one God, then you're an atheist in relation to 999 gods. So when you assess the reasons why you have supposedly rejected the belief in all these 999 gods, then you'll understand why I don't have any belief in yours. But yeah, religious attract to pointing at they try to scapegoat atheism while pointing to Hitler and going, well, how terrible is this? While failing to acknowledge how religious Hitler was. He had it embossed in belt buckles: "God with us, God with us, God with us." He had it written in Mein Kampf: by fighting off the Jews, I am doing the Lord's work. What's attracted you to have a confused? See, inbreeders, when they come at you with a case against you, usually within your the point preceding your first to second line questioning is enough to set them to an tailspin where they go, "Oh, fuck, I'm dumb, fuck, I'm dumb, fuck, I'm dumb," and then that's all the way, all the way back to suck your dad's dick in the garden, have a suck, have a suck, have a suck. Do you enjoy that? You're supposed to enjoy it. It's incest. We're not promoting incest, calling it creation in the image of God. Haven't learned your lesson yet. Okay, back to the garden. Suck, more cum from your dad's dick in the garden. The day they get their thinking straight, better for everyone. But so they come up with really, really stupid cases. They frame the issue in the stupidest of ways because of what they get to confront within themselves, but they leave clues about why that which they are having a go at is a bit like a mirror So you can see that what's in common between monotheist organizations and Hitler's Third Reich is clinging to and declaring self loyal to you will be a lifelong loyalty to a final solution, or what could be called a final solution, or stipulate the conditions for an idealistic final solution for humanity and for the rest of life. So there's the art of war goes into, and it's clever to think about. If you've defined having enemies is good, it means on the one hand you've stood up for something that you believe in and that's important to you. On another facet of it, there's that whole keep your friends close and your enemies closer. We aren't so different, you and I. Work out what the commonalities are, because that's important to know too. But this is a new level, a new dimension of corruption that I think is more perverted, and more and more cases will go undetected, and more exploited people will go without getting their justice, because it's more serious just when a person enters a place of healthcare. It's more serious in relation to their physical person. It's more serious in relation to the depths of their concern. A person can end up becoming goth and deciding that souls don't exist anymore, or without having their rights to life, health, movement, or expression touched or phased by a crooked priest or anyone. But the amount of trust that citizens do take in place in healthcare institutions, I would argue, is greater than that which they would place in a church. So they absolutely fuck Calvary Hospital, telling us that they want to believe that we're all inbred and Jesus' death was a gift. That yeah. So I'm against that idea, and I can't believe it didn't occur to people propping up those hospitals. What if this symbology was offensive to some? What if it's offensive to Aborigines? What if it's offensive to the future of rights? What if it's going to be offensive one day? What's the best scholastic stance on the veracity of the most precise possible interpretation of the gospel content, and yada yada yada. At the moment, because you do have citizens that feel too intimidated to contact a hospital because you're flashing a love heart around it. Jesus in mode. You've got people saying that's disgusting. I wouldn't trust you to band-aid my knee. And yeah, you're also endorsing the Bible and this spiritual narrative that people with varying different scales of sensitivities will to the point where it can fairly be said you're creating the very same sicknesses that you want to reap profit from pharmaceutical sales. If all this was a game, where now can you invent you could play strategy if you've played like real-time strategy games where you can customize or design a character, or run a real tournament where you can design maps. If that's all you guys were really about, can you make a profile as a person in these and that terms, and It's just the same. It's the same charge. It's taken me days to shake off, and in fact, fucking have wounded a TV after that police physical arrest because I hate being touched on essentially. I hate being touched by Queen, please give us your honor. Uh, the it's what it's that much is true that if you believe that you owe your debt gratitude for the race's existence to inbreeding, hardcore incest, reproductive incest, that does give you an aggressive charge. It's irrational, and you'll feel provoked. You'll feel it's why I reject biblical origins case altogether. Its implications, its explicit statements, um, all of it. I like burning Bibles. Bibles are for burning, snorting coke off the covers. www.evilbible.com is a fantastic channel. Yeah. How are they to disprove the following proposition? The Christian filth is called the Christian filth rightly because you say like Descartes said, I once said, I think therefore I am. You say we are incestuous from a garden, so we prey on the bisexuals. That should be the new Christian creed, because John's gospel is it's giving hallucinogens a bad name, because you're left going, what the fuck is he on when he wrote that? Like that is delusion. That is so deluded. The Jesus seminar pretty much have that view too. You know, God planned to send Jesus in before Eden was created. It's batshit crazy. So I have to apologize for the talk of where I've tried to say, well, what fucking drugs was that scribe on when he wrote John? Because I actually enjoy writing while on drugs, and yeah, that guy must have just been a particular kind of let's consolidate all spiritual ideas around about town. That's sort of monist moron. But yeah, John's gospel and ideas from it tend to be the ones that churches will try to branch out and contact you with first, which is unhistorical. Unhistorical as far as gospels go, because John's written last out of the four. So, you know, are you into plagiarism? Are you into lies on top of plagiarism, on top of plagiarism from paganism, on top of another couple of decades of time passing, plus some more plagiarism, plus some more reinvention, and then calling that direct eyewitness testimony? And then now you want to be a super sleuth psychologist or psychiatrist or police detective and leave this bundle of nonsensical mess you've called your faith as a bunch of unraveled and unsolved cases that leave you fascinated by whether you know, a torchlight on a wall is a ghost or not, or just light from the torch, because it's as basic as that. It's not very hard. It's not very hard to study. Just all the old Terram Partum. Listen to all sides. but yeah, these minorities who are people who are survivors of ridiculous, ludicrous times they spend in church, and then uh, Ruth Hermes Green is one woman. She inspired she inspired me on a creative level, and in terms of my writing. She wrote a book called The Born Again Skeptic's Guide to the Bible, where she takes you through all the keynote plot points of the Bible, and does like a counter preacher um, handling of the content. And she was brave. She as a dear old lady wrote this book. So my kind of attitude in my late teens was,